What could businesses do and start to do now, and why should they start to do it now if they're not already?
So obviously, depending on where an organisation is on its journey will, of course, depend on what the top tips are. But if we're thinking about every organisation playing its part, I think fundamentally it goes back to where are you on the journey? If you haven't started, then just start. And when we say just start, I think we know actually measuring your carbon footprint is a critical baseline that you have to do. It's quite a scary thought for those that aren't aware of how to do that. But there's amazing tech platforms out there linked to obviously financial data, which is readily available with any organisation. So there's some really easy, quick fixes. Of course, it's then saying, well, where are our critical pain points as an organisation? And once you know this critical pain points, it's reaching out to organisations like ours, which is basically saying, where can I get some really good advice and support to be able to at least look at what we could do today, tomorrow, next, quarter, at the end of the year, to be able to make a difference. So as we say, we would always advocate just choose to do something, reap the rewards, and then expand. This is about taking a journeyed approach. Partnership at the centre of everything. So this is, we talked about those shared learnings. Actually find out what your suppliers are, your clients are doing, your suppliers are doing, your competitors are doing. That shared learning, go to networks is a really good point to make. I appreciate there's lots of them, but again, it's really important. There are some really good frameworks, ESG frameworks. Many people know about B Corp. That's quite a long process to go through. It's resource intensive. Starting point for small organisations, one that I would recommend is absolutely the SME Climate Hub. So that is a really good resource to be able to support organisations who don't know where to start. And then in terms of steps, we've talked about this before, don't green hush, i.e. do something good, celebrate it, communicate it, and reap all of the rewards of doing it.
But also here's where we're not perfect, but this is what we're doing or will be doing to mitigate that.
Yeah, exactly. So you've obviously got the greenwashing on the other end of the spectrum, which is when you are clearly saying things that are not necessarily giving full credibility for what you're doing. So it's very easy, isn't it, to say, well, we are doing something over here, but they're not disclosing what's not being done. So this whole greenwashing is about just being very transparent and authentic. So again, that's a top tip. Just say really clearly what you're doing with intent. Pain points, I think, are just understanding that there is a lot of support from financial support as well out there. So again, it's understanding this isn't about, it's new models for change, whether that's energy, energy as a service. There's pretty much everything as a service nowadays. How actually can we integrate some of the innovation and the technology, which isn't going to cost us a fortune, and there are payback mechanisms or there's funding mechanisms that mean this isn't about us suddenly finding X amount of money. We know how hard things are for organisations, particularly at the moment. So I think it's being open-minded, being creative, and most importantly, back to the beginning of our podcast, is seize the opportunity, mitigate the risk, and see it as a business driver, one that will enable you to grow and prosper in the future.
Yeah, I think just, for a simple thing, I mean, the solar PV installation many years ago, the payback was 8 years, 10 years. I think with the price of electric nowadays and a unit of electric, particularly for a business, that payback tends to be 3 to 5 years on average nowadays. So yes, there is money to lay out up front, or speak to your landlord if you're renting a unit or a building or whatever it may be. And you might reap those rewards an awful lot quicker than what you would have many years ago. Where do people begin with anything like that? Because I think that's one of the things we hear. Where do I start, Dan? Where do I start, Pam? Is probably what we hear the most.
Well, good old Google, obviously. And as I said, so SME Hub is a brilliant online opportunity in terms of a framework and a starting point. As we talked about, obviously there's lots of information on your local authority sites for grants and things. As we discussed from a business networking, just start looking at sustainability kind of networks in your local areas. Just be, I think, really aware of the media that you read and digest those elements, those topics around ESG that you might not have done before. Internally as a business is get some champions. Just ask who internally is passionate about climate or nature, and they'll do a lot of the heavy lifting. I mean, I think this is it. What we're really seeing is that there are individuals and organisations who absolutely are passionate and want to make a difference and are there. And obviously they need to be supported, of course, but yes, allow them to obviously feed that passion into the business as well.
To watch the full episode, please go to the Transform UK channel and maybe consider subscribing. Or don't, but probably do. Definitely do.